Which words fill the gaps? Last Sunday, we to have lunch in the garden, but then it started to rain. We want to try again, though. By next Sunday, we will a large umbrella. We will use this on Sunday when we will on a table underneath the umbrella. Which phrases fill which gaps? Have bought, be eating, or were going? The first gap is filled with were going. Last Sunday we were going to have lunch in the garden, but then it started to rain. This is an example of future in the past. The next gap is filled by have bought. By next Sunday we will have bought a large umbrella. And the final gap is filled by be eating. We will use this on Sunday when we will be eating on a table underneath the umbrella. Will have bought is future perfect. Will be eating is future continuous. Let me teach you how to use the future in the past, the future perfect, and future continuous at an advanced C1 or C2 level. First of all, with future in the past. Last Sunday, we were going to have lunch in the garden. What does this mean? Well, were going to, in this meaning, means plans for something after a point in time in the past. So this is a story that you can see above me. It's set last Sunday, and we must have been speaking about a point in time before lunch, because when we say we were going to have lunch, what we mean is there were plans to have lunch after the moment I was speaking about. Maybe I'm speaking about Sunday morning. We had plans to have lunch at lunchtime, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, but then it started to rain. So we were going to have lunch in the garden. We're talking about a time in the past where we had plans for something after that time. We had plans to have lunch. Now, notice that there are two clauses together here. We were going to have lunch in the garden, but then it started to rain. And this demonstrates a common use of were going to speak about the future from a point in time in the past. And that is, we use were going to for plans that do not eventually happen. Last Sunday we were going to have lunch in the garden, but then it started to rain. We had a plan. It didn't happen in the end. And we often use were going to for this purpose when we express future in the past. Because there's another way to speak about the future in the past where we don't have this meaning. And that is using would. We use would for events happening after a point in time in the past. Look at the example next to me here. They got engaged. They would get married the following year. So engaged and get married, that's what two people do when they want to spend their lives together. So let's consider the point in time of the story. When I say they got engaged, my story is at this time. My story is at the moment of engagement. I'm thinking about that time. Let's say it's in July. And then a year passes before they get married. So from that moment in July when they got engaged, if we are predicting the events that would happen afterwards, we use would. They would get married the following year. It's a prediction of the future from that time in the past. But it's telling about something definitely coming in the future from that point in the past. But would is different to were going to because we don't have this sense of would leading up to an event which doesn't eventually happen. We would not say they would get married the following year, but then they didn't. We don't do that. If we want to do that, we have to use were going to. Remember, with were going to as well, of course, it could be was going to if you're talking about I or he or she. I was going to, he was going to, she was going to. But you were going to, they were going to, we were going to. So we have these two ways of speaking about the future from a time in the past, but they have slightly different uses. And there's one more tense we need to consider here, and that's we can also use the past continuous for arrangements that were in the future at the time of the story. For example, they got dressed in smart clothes because they were meeting their in-laws later that day. They were meeting. It was an arrangement they had, but it was after the time of the story. It's similar to how we use the present continuous when we're talking about future arrangements after now. We use the present continuous for future arrangements after now, and the past continuous for future arrangements after a time in the past. So all of these three tenses can be used for future in the past. Now let's move on to the next part of the story where we see the future perfect being used. We want to try again though. By next Sunday, we will have bought a large umbrella. What do we mean when we say will have bought? Well, we're talking about something due to happen before a time in the future. So when we say by next Sunday, we mean the Sunday after now. I'm recording this on a Friday. So Sunday is in the future compared to now. If I say by next Sunday we will have bought a large umbrella, what I mean is between now on Friday and Sunday, this will happen. I will go to the shop. I will buy an umbrella. It will be completed by Sunday, either before Sunday or exactly at the time of Sunday. And that's what the future perfect does. It considers a point in time in the future and states an activity being completed between now and that point in time in the future. It's not important when. What is important is it's completed by that time. So that's the future perfect. Now we can split the future perfect into the future perfect simple and the future perfect continuous. Consider this lady who's running a marathon, the longest race you can run in the world. If we use the future perfect simple, that's using will, have and past participle, exactly as you can see above. Then we have a completion focus. By tonight, I will have run a marathon. So at this point in the future, something is completed. It might be exactly at that point. It might be before that point. But at that point, we will be able to say completed. The future perfect continuous is slightly different. Now, the future perfect continuous, let's look at the example first. By 6 p.m., I will have been running for 4 hours. So here we use will, have, and the present participle, the ing form. What does this mean? Well, this focuses on an activity happening up to the time that's stated. So we're thinking about 6 p.m. tonight. At that point, an activity has taken 4 hours from 4 hours before then up to that point in time. By 6 p.m., I will have been running for 4 hours. Usually, we would mean between 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. We mean up to exactly that moment. It could possibly refer to repeated actions happening over a period of days or a period of time where maybe she ran for 1 hour, then she ran for another hour, then she ran for another hour, and then another hour, making 4 hours in total. And by 6 p.m., 4 hours in total is covered. But the focus here is on the activity of running. Here it's the duration of the task. An activity has happened for a certain amount of time, not the fact that running has been completed. Now, there's another use still of this grammatical structure, which is not the future perfect. It's actually more like the present perfect, but it uses will have. Look at the example right at the bottom first. Do you think she's still running in the race? No, I expect she will have finished by now. Now that's interesting. We say by now. I expect she will have finished by now. Rupert, will have and past participle is only future perfect. I have had so many comments in the last year telling me that. Well, you're wrong. Look at the example here. It's clear that we don't mean the future in this case because we're saying by now. So why did we use it? Let's look at the explanation. We use will have past participle in a present perfect sense when we are expressing certainty about something happening before the present, but it's through deduction rather than evidence. So when I say, no, I expect she will have finished by now, I don't have very good evidence. I haven't seen her finish. I'm imagining it based upon what I think is true. I expect she will have finished by now. This is what I think happened before now. She finished. I can't give you evidence, but that's my belief. Let's move on to the future continuous, which we form through will, be, and that present participle, the verb with ing on the end. Let's look at the story again. We will use this on Sunday when we will be eating on a table underneath the umbrella. Why did we use will be eating here? It's because it's something expected to be in progress at a specific future time. So we have this future time, Sunday. It's not today, it's not in the past, it's next week. Sunday, we already know it's next Sunday because the story told us. So this activity will be in progress at that time, on Sunday. We're probably thinking about Sunday lunchtime, really. But to make things simpler, we simply say on Sunday. We really mean Sunday lunchtime. So on Sunday lunchtime, we will be eating. This action will be in progress at that specific future time. And that's why we use the future continuous for an action in progress, something expected to be in progress at a future specific time. But just as with the future perfect, there is another use to be aware of. And that is that we can use it to express certainty about something happening in the present through deduction rather than evidence. Look at the next example at the bottom of the page. Do you think she's still running in the race? Yes, I think she will be crossing the line right now. I think she will be crossing the line right now. Will be crossing. Well, it's right now, so we're talking about the present moment. But here we're focusing on something happening in the present. Remember, with future perfect, we're focusing on something in the past up to now when we use it with deduction rather than evidence. Now we're talking about something in the present moment, not in the past, but right now. Not by now, but right now. And it's through deduction rather than evidence. So again, when I say here, I think she will be crossing the line right now, I did not see her cross the line. No one has phoned me to tell me she's crossed the line. She hasn't posted an update on her social media saying that she's crossed the line. It's just my thoughts based on what I believe is true. I probably am thinking, well, the race started 2 hours ago. She normally takes 2 hours to finish a marathon. So that is my expectation about what is happening now. Because 2 hours ago, she started the race. I think she takes about 2 hours to finish the race. So I can work out, I can deduce what is happening right now. And to express the fact that I've got certainty, although it's just from my thoughts, not from the evidence I have, then I say, will be crossing the line. This is what I expect is true right now, without having usual evidence, just from my thoughts. So future in the past, future perfect, future continuous, you can use them in these ways to reach levels that will enable you to pass exams like C1, C2, or get a high grade on your IELTS, IELTS 7, IELTS 8, IELTS 9. In these exams, if you use the future perfect, future in the past, future continuous well in these ways, you will impress your examiners, and it will be one step towards getting those really high marks on these exams. And to help you even more with these exams, I have created 2 courses that you can take online in your own time. You can start today. One of them is Cambridge C1 preparation, and the other is IELTS preparation. There's a link in the description where you can find out more. Click the link in the description and you can start preparing for these exams today.